Hey everybody, welcome to May. Seriously, you guys, can you believe it's May? Like we're, the year's almost half over. I'm mind blown. Um, Welcome to Taco Tuesday or Team Talk Tuesday. It's not Taco Tuesday anymore. Team Talk Tuesday. Excited to be with you guys. We got a lot to cover tonight, but I did want to start with it's a new month. So, that means we're going to talk for just 1 minute about goals. So drop your May goals in the chat, would you? And if you don't have a May goal, I'm going to challenge you that if you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. It's like, think old school. Like, think before we could just punch into maps where we were going. Like, but if you don't have a destination, you're not going to reach it, right? So, I would encourage you to drop your goals in the chat. And I cannot see any of the comments now for some reason. There we go. Now I can. Okay. Uh, and then here's what else I'm going to challenge you to do. Watch for someone who has goals kind of similar to you, and then reach out to them offline afterwards, write their name down, reach out to them, find them on social media, reach out to them afterwards, and see if you guys can be accountability buddies for the month. I mean, even if it's just cheering each other on, idea sharing, all the things, right? Tiffany says growing my team is my focus this month. So Tiffany, I'm gonna challenge you to make that measurable. So what is your goal around that, right? Right? So perfect. Oh, there's a whole lot of 2500s in the chat. You guys should all be accountability buddies. I'm just saying. Okay. So it's a big month. May is always full of opportunities if you choose to take advantage of them. We've already talked about them. We talked about them last month, but just to remind you, we have teacher appreciation. We have end of year teacher gifts or school gifts. We have a lot of sports banquets like this month for youth sports ending. Since he makes a great gift for the coach or like the team mom, we have Mother's Day, right? Probably too late to order for Mother's Day, but if you have some stock on hand, you of course have to share that one-on-one private communication. And then we have graduation, plus all the other things like there's baby showers, there's bridal showers. It's just like a crazy month. Plus, people are getting ready to travel. So I love the idea of a signature fragrance for a trip. And so that would be something you could share on your social media or with your customers. Like, what do you want to remember your vacation is? So pods, you know, um, air products, all of those things are really great for travel. So be thinking about that and getting the word out to your customers. It is also the beginning of the new year, the new Scentsy year. So did you all know that the new year started May 1st? So the Scentsy fiscal year goes May 1st to April 30th. And why does that matter? Well, our annual awards are based on that. Okay, so annual sales, annual mentor. Now is when you're starting to make that plan to hit it for this year. And if you do that 2,500, that monthly sales award, you realize that aligns with annual sales. And if you've never earned annual sales, that is, and I'm going to speak US dollars because I didn't convert to anything else, but that's $1,000 you get as a bonus. It's $1,000. And it usually comes in June. Years ago, it came much later. It usually comes in June. And that's just nice money that time of year, right? Whether you put it towards SFR or a vacation, or I know last year, I think it came before the Hawaii incentive trip. So there's, you can also put it in your savings account or pay down debt with it or do all the things, right? Invest it, whatever you want to do. But that is a really great thing to aim for. An annual mentor. Annual mentor is 14 new frontline who certify or hit lead. You get a little more money if they hit lead, right? Okay. So if you earned an annual award last year, will you drop in the chat? Like when I say last year, it ended like 5 days ago. Drop in the chat what you earned, annual sales, annual mentor, or both. And then if you are working towards it, if you're committed to working towards it next year, drop that in the chat too. And then let's dive right into our training. This month, we are focusing on making more money and building momentum in May. So why? Well, we want you to have your best May commission ever, right? And the work you do to do that will build momentum that goes into the summer. And it's really important that you don't put your business on vacation this summer. We'll talk about that later this month. But all the trainings this month are going to give you like tangible tips on how to boost your PRV or to figure out what you need to do to get your PRV. So I'm going to kick that off tonight, and I'm going to walk you through a very simple training but it's something you can use yourself every month. It's something you can use with your team members if you have a team. It's something that you can use with your new recruits. Okay. First thing I usually ask a new team member is, how much money do you want to earn this month? Like, how much money do you want to earn this month? Because then it gives me an idea of how to help them, right? Or someone who's considering joining, like, let's do the math backwards. So I recorded this training for Deb Bowden the other day. And I know Carol's done a similar training with Deb Bowden on how to tie and actually, I think Carol may have been the one. I think my version is a little different, but Carol, I think, may be the one who created this training old school, like almost 20 years ago. So we're going to talk about how to tie your commission to your calendar. Okay. And this is something we did all the time years ago. And I don't know really why we stopped, but it's important, and it's a skill that once you've mastered it, you can teach anyone. And so even if you think, I already know how to do this, I want you to still walk through the process tonight, because I want you to know how to teach it. Okay. All right. Cameron's going to earn annual sales. That's awesome, Cameron. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to pretend that you are all certified consultants, like you've hit your 1,000 PRV lifetime, but you're still kind of new. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through what I would do with a consultant who was trying to figure out, they knew how much they wanted to make, but they didn't really know how to get it. So we're going to kind of walk through that. So here's the reason why it's important. And this is what I tell my new team members, and I will give you guys the talking points for this and the step-by-step so that you can use it with people as well. Okay. When you tie your calendar, and I actually have some notes on it because I don't want to miss anything. When you tie your calendar to your commissions, what happens is you stop guessing what your check is going to look like and you start designing it. Okay. And often I will hear people tell me how much money they want to earn, but they don't ever have a plan for how they're going to do that. And when you have a plan, then it's no longer, it's like no longer a mystery, it's math, because it's a simple equation. So we're going to walk through the equation of it. Okay. So we're going to walk through this like you're a consultant setting your goals, and I'll walk you through the same process. And again, you can use it month after month. So let's pretend that you're a certified consultant and you want to earn, actually, Tiffany, can I use you as my example? Will you unmute? Are you somewhere you can unmute?
No, I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Let's pretend Tiffany is a certified consultant, and I'm going to prompt her with this, but she wants to earn $500 this month. Okay. So I would start out by saying to my new team member or any of my frontline that I was walking them through this, like, how much do you want to earn in commissions this month? And she would say $500, right? And 500, like 200 to 500 is what most people say. Most people don't say, I want to earn 10,000 or 20,000 or 5,000 or 1,000. You would be surprised. Even sometimes people, $50 will make a difference in what they can do. So sometimes we think these huge numbers, but I'm going to challenge you that that's often not what someone is thinking. So then I would ask Tiffany, what would $500 do for you or your family? Like, how would you use it?
500 could pay a car note. It could pay, some utility bills. It could let us do a weekend adventure.
And I love that. So here's why we asked that question. And I love that she had something like not fun, like a car payment, but then she also had something fun, like a family adventure, right? Like a weekend, whatever. Or even just when I did it with Deb Bowden the other day, she said it would pay my car payment and my husband and I could have another date night each month, right? So why does that matter? Why do you want people to connect how much money they're going to make with what they're going to do with it? Well, when they have that visualization in their head, like Tiffany, when she doesn't want to get up and work her business or when she's tired, she's hopefully going to think about the fact that she could do something fun with it, right? Or, she's relying on it to pay for that car payment or whatever it is, right? And that is kind of the motivation when you can visualize what you're going to do with it. So I would encourage you all right now, you know how much you want to earn. You're going to write down how much do you want to earn this month. And then I want you to write down some things you would do with it. Okay. And I would really encourage you to have something. It's fine if it's like it's going towards my mortgage or it's going towards my car payment or my insurance, but I'd encourage you to have something in there that's fun as well. Even if it's only, I would go through the Starbucks drive-through, or I would shop the bullseye section at Target, or whatever the case may be, right? Or I'd put this much back because this is my long-term goal. So write down, we're going to take just 1 minute. I want you to write down what you would do with it. And you can share it. You don't have to share it. This is like, it's your goal, all the things, right? And did you notice when I asked you what your goals were earlier? No one told me a dollar figure they wanted to earn. Everyone, because you all are seasoned, you all told me how much you wanted to sell, right? No one said I want to earn $250 or I want to earn 500, right? But that figure that you want to earn actually makes a little bit of a difference. Okay. So you've got that now. You kind of know how much you want to earn and you know what you would do with it. And tying that goal to something real does make a difference. Life gets busy and that why will pull you to keep working, right? So then the next thing I always ask is, how much time do you have this month to work your business? Now, it's going to be a general answer. Like no one's going to say, I have 14 hours and 51 minutes, right? It's just going to be a guesstimate. And you can even break that down when they say, I don't know. You can say, well, how much time do you think per week you might have? And let's say Tiffany says she has about 2.5 hours a week. Okay. Or 4 hours a week. We'll just pick it. We'll say 4 hours a week. That would be about 16 hours a month. Okay. And then I would say, so I'm going to ask you guys, how much time do you have this month to work your business? And I'm going to encourage you to write that down. Cameron, I'm gonna, yeah, oh yeah, Tiffany already did it for you. That'd be 200. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to challenge you. Now this is, why do I ask how much time you have to work? Well, there's two reasons. We're going to figure out, I'm going to give you some different options of how you can work your business. And they are primarily going to be parties. Okay. Different types of parties. We'll talk a little bit about the other stuff, but we're going to talk mostly about parties. But the other red flag here is if you had someone who said they wanted to earn $1,000 this month, but they told you they have an hour this month to work your business, do any of you think that's realistic? 1 hour to work your business all month, so 15 minutes a week, $1,000 commission. So it's a good check for you as well. If you have some super lofty goal, you're going to, and we'll do the math on it, but you're going to want to make sure that it aligns with the time you have. But it's really a good red flag if you are working with a new team member or you're working with someone in your downline, right? We have to make sure the expectation, like the availability meets the goal. Because if not, we set people up for failure before they've even started. And then they're frustrated. They're like, well, why did you walk me through that? You told me how I could earn $50,000 and I told you I only had 10 minutes this month to work it, right? So that's a good conversation at that point. Okay, well, let's have an honest conversation about how much time this really would take and what realistic expectations are. Okay. And I usually say to them like this, like, let's get honest. How much time do you realistically have to work your business this month? I would rather you lowball it than over exaggerate it. Like there's no right answer here, but how much time realistically do you have to work your business? And then often I will say, okay, so what does that look like? Is that like, say they have 10 hours a week. Is that all on a Saturday? Is that like an hour a night? Like, what does that look like? Just to get a little better idea of what their schedule in their life is like. So I would challenge you, if you said that you have 10 hours a week, like, when are you going to work that? Is that I'm going to work, all day Saturday, and I'm going to, or Saturday morning, and I'm going to work an hour 5 nights a week. What does that look like? Because you have to also make that schedule, make that open up that time in your calendar. Does that make sense? And then I would say to Tiffany, you get to decide how you work your business, because there's so many ways you can work your business. So we'll say Tiffany said she had 4 hours a week, so 16 hours, we'll just say. So Tiffany, I would ask you then, like, how do you want to work your business? Do you want to do in-person parties? Do you want to do online parties? Do you want to do basket or pouch parties? And here's a few examples of what that looks like. Like an in-person party, you could go to their house. It could be an open house. You could be meeting at Starbucks with your testers and letting people sniff and smell for an hour. An online event could be as simple as a Facebook party. It could be a text party. It could be an email party. It could be all the different things, right? A basket or pouch party, I think we all know what that is. But if you don't, that's where you give your little army men of testers, as few as 10 or as many as all 80 of them, to someone. They take them, they collect orders. They're basically doing the work for you, but you do still have to host coach them. So I would say, how would you want to, what sounds good to you this month?
So
And it could
I
be a combination.
So I predominantly do social media parties. I actually do very few in-person parties, which is where I want to focus a little bit more time on because I need to get out of that comfort zone of only doing social media parties. So that
Yep.
would be one thing that I would like to focus on to expand because I probably feel like I'm missing a market there with getting in front of people and under people's noses because you can only do so much on social media. So I think that's probably where I would want to focus for the month.
So in person. So do you want to do anything else in addition to that?
I mean, I would still push for those that don't want to do in person to still push and offer social media parties or scroll parties,
Yeah,
share links and
perfect.
stuff like that, personal links, that kind of thing. So not limiting myself to just one type, but also pushing myself to expand in areas that I'm not comfortable with.
I love that. So I'm going to ask you all to kind of write down on your piece of paper, how do you want to work your business this month? Right. And there's other ways, of course, to bring in PRV. There's follow up, right? But I'm going to challenge you to think beyond just follow up or just social media posting. Like, beyond your content calendar, people do scent crates. People do events. It's a very heavy season for events. It's fundraiser season now and again in the fall. So how do you want to work your business? Uh, and then we kind of match our party type to time. Okay. So an in-person party, I would then tell Tiffany, that takes about 2 to 3 hours. Now, it's going to be different depending upon how long you choose to stay, but you can get there, you can set up, you can do the party, and you can be out the door in 2 or 3 hours, or you can stay and socialize all evening. It's totally up to you. There is some setup work. You're going to have to prep things in advance. And then, of course, there's a follow-up and the closeout. Um, in my opinion, in-person parties have the best return on investment because, like you said, Tiffany, it's outside your comfort zone, I know, but it's an opportunity for you to be in front of people. And there is nothing better than being in front of people. Also, in-person parties have the highest PRV totals. We'll just use like 500 to 600 as an example for them. But I will tell you this, I've seen multiple people post this past week that they've had $1,000 plus home parties. So there's huge opportunity, and also bookings. Bookings come much easier from a home party, right? An online party, a social media party could be about 2 to 3 hours spread out over the week. Now, you could do that however you want. You could post and schedule it all, schedule it all. You can go to some of those mock party groups and you can grab the content, personalize it once and keep using it all season, but you will still have to get into those parties every night or every day at some point and just comment, right? You can't just post and be done. So I'd say 2 to 3 hours on that. And then a basket or a pouch party It's a drop off, being available to answer questions, and then the pickup and closeout. So 1 to 3 hours is kind of what we would estimate for that, right? So you said you wanted a combination. You want to aim for some in-person events, right? So those are going to take a little bit longer. And then you said social media, of course, will be your backup, your online parties. Since you want to earn 500, we need to, we're going to figure out based on party averages, how many parties you need to do. And so I would say that's probably about 6 to 7 parties. Okay. Could be a little bit less. It would be less if it was more home parties, right? It would be kind of the 6 to 7 range if it was like online or basket parties. So that kind of puts us in the 14 to 21 hour time zone there. How many do you think? And I know you said you had about 16 hours, so we're right in the middle. If you needed to work a little more, do you have the availability? Or do we need to scale back your goal?
I can stretch.
You can stretch? Awesome. Okay. And you wouldn't have to stretch very much, maybe just like an extra hour over the course of a week, right? That would get you right kind of to the max of that. So it looks to me like what you want to earn and your time actually mesh up pretty well. So that's good. We don't have to renegotiate any of that. Now, if they didn't, I would say, are there extra hours you could carve out? And then I would say, how important is that $500 commission? Because we either need to lower it or we need to strategize on how to come up with more pockets of time. Okay. So I would, and Cameron, we'll answer questions at the end. I would challenge you all. Does the time you're available line up with how much you want to work based on the party types that you said? Now, you all know, because you're not new consultants, you know how long it takes you to do these parties. I was just sharing averages, but you want to make sure it meshes, right? And if not, that is like the stop sign right here, and we need to renegotiate, okay? And that means you might need to renegotiate with yourself, all right? Remembering, of course, you do have host coaching that you have to do. That's like number one, and one of the things I think people forget to do, but that is critical. All right. So we're going to assume that all of your time and your goal lines up. So now I teach my new team members how to multiply my income goal to find my PRV target. So if you're an essential consultant, or if you're a certified consultant and your goal was $50 or less, actually less than $50, right? Then you are going to take your goal and multiply it by 5, because that's 20% you earn. So if your goal was to make $50, you're going to multiply that by 5, and that's going to give you the PRV you need. If you are a certified consultant and you are aiming for more than $50 in commission, you're going to multiply your commission goal by 4, because you're going to make 25% in straight commission. We're not going to try and figure out monthly sales bonus in this. We're just doing simple math. Okay. So Tiffany wants to make $500 this month. She's going to multiply it by 4. And so she needs 2,000 PRV this month. Okay. So I want you to do the conversion backwards. You all started telling me your goal for the month in PRV, but that might not motivate you the way knowing how much money you want to make would, right? Okay. All right. So Tiffany, you want to earn 2,000 PRV. And again, I think that's very doable. My party averages back over time are kind of company party averages, and in-person parties about 500 to 600. An online party, a social media party is usually 250 to 300. Now they can be much higher. I've had $1,000 and $1,400 parties, but we're going to use kind of averages to figure this out, just to make sure that we're doing the math right. Okay. And a basket party, about 300. Okay. So for 2,000 PRV that you want to earn, again, if we're kind of looking at, say, that $300 to $400, you're going to need, we'll say 6 to 7 parties just to be safe. Okay. If it was all in-person parties, if you're able to book all in-person parties, we could drop that to 3 to 4 events for the month. Right. Now I know they're new for you, so you might need to get your feet wet a little bit with them. So always aim a little higher, but that's totally doable for the amount of time that you have available as well. So, and again, as I said, in-person parties do give you the best return on investment. And not only then, but long term, because those people are most likely to follow you on social media. Those people, when you follow up with them, they're putting a name with a face, right? So when you text them or project broadcast them or use the app, like there's a connection. So that's that. Now I want to challenge you, Tiffany. I know that you don't just do the minimum, right? Like you set goals and you accomplish them. So here's what I'm going to challenge you. Your goal is 2,000 PRV right now, and that'll give you $500 in commission. But did you realize that if you stretch that just to 2,500, 500 more PRV? So, like one more in-person party or, a couple more basket or social media parties. Do you know that you would earn that bonus? You'd earn that extra 5% commission.
I
And
did
so,
not know that.
and so you would go from making 500 this month to 750. And so 500 more PRV would bring you another 250 in commission. And that's pretty good. And then it also would keep you on track this month for that annual sales. Now, I don't ever push or pressure, but I want you to keep that in the back of your head. Okay. Especially if you start to hit that goal too early. So now you've got your goal, 2,000 PRV, 500 commission. Maybe we'll think about upping that a little bit. And now it's time to figure out when you're available for that party, for those parties. So if you don't know what your availability is, it's really hard to book these things. So I'm going to challenge you. This is the part that most consultants skip, by the way. But it's the one that's going to make all the difference. I'm going to challenge you and all of you to get out your calendars now, whether you're a digital person, whether you're a paper person, get out your calendar and flip it to May. And I want you to figure out when you are available to do these. Now, I know social media parties are a little different, right? I know like a Facebook party or a text party, you've got a little more flexibility in your start and stop dates, but you don't want to book them on weeks you're going to be traveling, for example, out of town. You don't want to book them on weeks maybe where you're crazy busy, like maybe you have a graduation in the family or a wedding in the family or something coming up. You want to make sure that you have blocked off the time in your calendar when you are most readily available, so that when you do start booking these, you can flip open your calendar and so you could highlight them, you could circle those dates, you could put a P in there, whatever works for you, but come up with a system to know when you are available in your calendar. Okay. All right. Becky, I like that actually. Becky did the math on the amount she wants to earn and it makes her want to throw up. Now, some of you might be like, oh my gosh, that's horrible, Karen. Why would you want her to throw up? Oh, because that means she's aiming really high. And I like that because I want her to be a little uncomfortable, right? And here's the thing about goals. Like there is nothing wrong with adjusting a goal. So if you set that, it is better to set that bar too high and come in a little lower than to set it too low and just hit it way fast, right? We will always adjust the goal up if you hit it too fast. But often, if you set it really high, and it's not a failure if you don't reach it, right? It's a learning lesson. Like we don't lose, we learn. And so if you don't hit that goal, chances are you're still going to have accomplished more than you would have if you hadn't set that goal. So, so think about your calendar as your cash register. You are blocking off income potential. Okay? You're blocking off income potential. And where I learned this very early on, Nicole Ferlin is a Circle of Excellence member. She's one of a few of, I was going to say 4. I think there's actually 5 now. Circle of Excellence members. And I remember very early on, she built her business doing one party a week. Thursday nights were what worked for her. Her husband was, they had really small kids at that time. Her husband was available to do childcare that night. And so she built her business booking parties on Thursday nights. And that was it. That was her availability. And she booked it. And so that was in her schedule. And Jan, you don't have to do home parties, right? You don't have to do home parties. But I will challenge you if, I'd always challenge you to step outside of your comfort zone, right? Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what is your version of Nicole's Thursday night? When is it that you have available? Are you always available Saturday mornings or Saturday nights, or are you always available on, don't say Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern? I mean, you could, but then you'd miss Team Talk Tuesday. But figure out what your Nicole Furlan Thursday night is, right? And it doesn't always have to be the same, but you're going to make sure that you've marked that. And then the last step is making sure that you book your month early. Now, why do you want to fill your month early? We used to talk years ago about it was important to book your month early because if you were a leader, you got all of your PRV in the first half, and then you could help your team members. Like you were more readily available because you'd hit your goals already. So you could, do more mentoring and help them hit theirs. But, and that's true. But I think the reason I like to cushion my calendar on the front end to front load my calendar is sometimes we have people that cancel. Anyone ever drop a 1 in the chat if anyone's ever canceled on you for a Facebook party, a home party, a fundraiser, anything, right? And I would bet almost everyone, has had someone cancel, right? And if that party that canceled was on the 5th, not a big deal. You have the whole rest of the month to rebook or to fill that slot. But if you are relying on that party and it's on the 28th of the month, it's going to be hard for you to make up that slack. And you're going to have to lean really heavy into things like follow up or getting creative with like 6-bar bundles or whatever the case may be. But if it's early in the month, you can reschedule. You've got plenty of time to still hit that goal. And the other thing, when you book early in the month, like if you did that home party tonight or that basket party tonight, those other bookings that you've gotten from it, because our goal is never just to sell, right? We're always looking to book our calendar, and to find people who might want to partner with Scentsy. If that happens early in the month, you can tag some of those future bookings late in the month and bump up that commission even higher. So smart consultants book early in the month. Okay. It also relates to you. Maybe you're saying, I have never had a host that canceled before. Yeah, Cameron, I'll walk you through that in just a second. But here's the thing, you could get sick. Like in January, I was down for the count for quite some time with COVID. And then in February, I ended up with, also the flu. I ended up with the flu and whooping cough, right? And if I had planned all my PRV to come, especially like from events or home parties late the month, I would have been screwed, for lack of a nicer way to say it. So, it's not just what happens to your host, but also what happens to you. But if you front load every month, you've got time to recover. So also, I'm going to encourage you always that your commission is driven by the products we have available all the time. If you are building your plan based on an LTO, there have been times where we've had shipping delays and LTOs have not come in. So if you are planning your PRV on something that might get delayed or that's maybe late month, you're setting yourself up again for potential failure. So I would always suggest that you plan that based on things that we have available. Now, having said that, the Cause Warmer did back order today. Today did actually back order today or yesterday. I don't know which. So if you have a fundraiser for that, it's time to pivot, right? But it's the 6th and we have plenty of time to come up with another plan, right? So make sure that, you're considering those things. Flash sales are fun. They're never a given. They talked on month end. We do have some creative ways to sell things coming, right? But don't rely on those. Set your goal, book your calendar, and then the rest is like the icing, it's the dessert, it's all the things. People will get so frustrated sometimes with a flash sale. They'll say something like, oh, that was a horrible event and my month is ruined. To which I will say to them, bless your sweetheart, you didn't even know you were having a flash sale more than a day ago. So you didn't plan that. That wasn't your plan for the month. That was bonus. And while it sucks when we have an issue with a flash sale, like we crashed the website or whatever, that wasn't a strategy. There's a whole bunch of things that aren't strategies, right? Flash sales aren't strategies. An LTO can be a strategy, and we're going to talk about it next month, but it's not your bread and butter. Okay. Random PWS orders, those are awesome, but they're not a strategy either, right? We can't ever rely on that kind of thing to come in from Scentsy.com, right? Some of us don't even show up now, right? So just consider that. Okay. So, Tiffany, how do you feel? You've got your calendar. You know about how many events you need to do, right? Are we sticking with 2,000 PRV, or are we going to try and bump that to 2,500?
I'm gonna bump it because I also know that I have some clubbers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna do some follow-up for the month on sales because I pushed really hard last month to get my last numbers for annual sales.
Yep.
So I had a little bit more orders than I would normally have had last month. So I'm gonna follow up with those customers and say, hey, did you get your orders? Do you need anything? Maybe get some sales from there. So if I know I'm gonna get it from my parties, I'm gonna bump it up a little bit to,
Yeah.
make it hard.
Perfect. And so do you feel like you have enough availability in your calendar when you
Yes,
looked at your calendar to make that happen? And do you
yes,
feel comfortable? Are you
yes,
ready to go out and book them?
I am.
Okay, perfect. And then we would come to, and I'm not going to walk you all through it, but we would come to a booking strategy. And so I would talk to Tiffany about, okay, like, where are we going to find these bookings? Like, what's on your calendar now? Where are we going to find these bookings? What do we need to do for outreach for that, right? Because if you're posting and praying, that's passive, right? You can't rely on an Instagram post or a post in your stories saying you want to book. That's great if you get bookings from that, but you got to have that one-on-one reach out, right, to get it. Okay. So that's the plan. How much do you want to earn? How much time do you have available? Okay. How do you want to earn that? Do you want to do basket parties, home parties, fundraisers, all the things? Now, a fundraiser, we have no way of knowing how much you're going to make from a fundraiser, right? Like I've done fundraisers that were 20,000. I've done fundraisers that were $250. Huge difference, right? I can't plan my month on that, but that is really good new customers, right? And then we're going to do the math. Does it line up? And then we're going to convert that dollar figure to PRV. So if you're an essential consultant or you're trying to earn less than $50, you're going to multiply it by 5 because you're going to earn 20% in that scenario. Okay. If you are wanting to make more than that and you are a certified consultant or higher, you're going to multiply it by 4 because you're going to earn 25%. So 25 times 4 is 100. So you're going to take that 500 that you want to earn, multiply by 25%. That's going to give you the 2,000 you need. And then you're going to sit for a moment and you're going to stretch yourself. Like maybe you were at 2,300 you needed in PRV. You're going to be like, 200 more PRV would give me an extra, how much money? And then you're going to challenge yourself a little bit if you're close. Now, if your goal has now come to like 300 PRV, I would still encourage you to stretch, but I understand the difference between 300 PRV and 2,500. It's a pretty big stretch. But if you're coming anywhere in the ballpark in there, stretch. Okay. And then, of course, remember, you might be flipping people too, right? So if you have someone who has a bang up party, and you might flip that party to them. So, oh, Becky, I love it. Becky's at 3K. I love it. I love it. So it's a very simple plan, and there's a really quick PDF. I'm sorry, it's a Microsoft Word document, but I can turn it into a PDF. It just is the questions you're going to ask. But if you start your month with this, if you start your team members' months with this, if you start your new recruits with this, like one thing that I do in January, because we usually have an air purifier special, I will say to them, if I have someone that says they want to earn 200, like they're considering joining, well, how much money, would you like to make this month? Right? And they say $250. Then I'm like, okay, so let's talk about some options. We can do a launch party, but do you know 4 people that might want an air purifier? Because if you know 4 people that might want an air purifier, we have a bonus in like the last few Januaries, right? So I will say to them, because they're going to get some extra goodies, and 4 people buying an air purifier this month will get you that $250 commission, right? See how simple that is? Like that doesn't seem that overwhelming, right? Or you're going to have, X number of parties or whatever the case may be. But it's very, very simple math. And then you know what you're aiming towards. Your team members know what they're aiming towards. They've checked their calendar. They know when they're available. Or perhaps they look at their calendar and they realize, like, perhaps they're Amy Durnan. I'm going to call Amy Durnan out on here. Perhaps you're Amy Durnan and you are never going to be in town, or you're going to be at a wedding every single weekend. Oh, I'm going to be in Paris, and then I'm going to be in Cancun, and then I'm going to be in Key West, and then oh my gosh, that next weekend we've got like 459 weddings and 2 baby showers, and we're moving 2 girls into a new condo, right? So then Amy would know she literally had no availability for home parties. So she would have to figure out how to do Facebook parties or whatever the case may be, right? But if you don't open your calendar, whether it's digital or paper, you don't know what you're working on, right? So that's a step that most people skip, but in my opinion, it's actually the most important step, because we got to make sure that we have availability. Okay. All right. Does that make sense to you guys? What questions do you have about it? I know it's super simple math. I know it's the easiest concept ever, but drop a 1 in the chat if you do this. Drop a 2 in the chat if you don't. 1 in the chat if you do this, 2 if you don't. And drop a 1 in the chat now if you teach your new team members to do this, and a 2 in the chat if you don't. Because what we tend to do with our new team members or our frontline is we say, oh, what's your goal? Oh, that's awesome. Great. Cheering you on. But we don't give them a plan, or we don't see if it's realistic. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you, I have had a brand new consultant tell me she wanted to make $5,000. And then she told me she had an hour a week available. This was like 2017 or 18. And I was like, okay, let's have a chat. Like, this is not a get rich quick scheme. Like, this is a legitimate business and it's worthwhile, but you do have to work. And so then we could have an honest conversation about expectations, right? And we could also talk about what it would take long term to earn that kind of commission, right? That's probably a team building situation. So let's talk about that. So yes, and Dawn, Bill can help you, or any of us can help you as well, right? We're always happy to help you do the math on it. Okay. Yes. So if I would just if it would be just hitting active. So if you wanted 250 PRV, so we're going to do the math backwards on that, right? So how much, someone do the math on that. If Cameron wants to be active this month and he wants to earn he needs 200, we're going to do this backwards. How much would he earn in commission? Someone tell me. If he had 250 PRV. So Cameron, you got to start with how much you want to earn, right? So right, Tiffany says that you would make $50. So if your goal is to make $50 this month, you're going to multiply that by what? 5. And that means you need to earn 250 PRV. Now you could do that from one Facebook party that qualifies, a basket party that qualifies. You could do that from one home party, right? But that gives you an idea of what you need to accomplish to do that. Yes, we're going to assume Cameron is certified. Did we do the math wrong on that then? I feel like we just did the math wrong on that. 62.
Yes, you did.
50. We did the math
It'd
wrong.
be this, right. So it'd be the
50,
25%. That's why I was like, wait.
So we would multiply it by 4.
Yeah, I was going by just essential. Yeah.
Yep, we'd multiply it by 4. See, I told you it was simple math, and then we all just did it wrong. Well, not all of us, half of us did it wrong, right? Or perhaps only 2 of us did it wrong, and the rest of you were just being polite. Okay. What questions do you have? I know it's basic, but you guys, it really does work. Can you see the value in it for your new team members? Now, if you are working towards your biggest May commission, who wants to have their biggest May commission this month? Like biggest May ever. Then I'm going to challenge you tonight I know you did the math on this, but I'm going to challenge you to go back in the workstation, go back through your paper, through the commissions tab, search May. Every year you've been a consultant. Some of you guys might be competing against really high numbers from COVID. I'm just saying. But figure out what your biggest May commission was, and then I want you to rework this math. Okay. Or maybe just stretch in between. But if you want to have your biggest May commission, then go back. And do you guys all know where to find your commission history on the workstation? So you're going to go back, you're going to go to the performance tab, you're going to click on the commission, the commission history, and then you can change the month on there. So go back every May and see what your commission was. Okay. And then do the math on it and figure out what you got to do, right? Now, some of you already have full schedules for May, like as far as bookings, right? If not, you know, I'm going to challenge you to a booking blitz. I'm not going to make you do a booking blitz right now. I know you guys are all going to turn your cameras off and shut off your screen if I do that. And you're all going to just disappear. So I'm not going to challenge you right now to do a booking blitz, but I'm going to tell you they do work. And by challenging you to do, Terry's like, I'm out. There's no booking blitz happening here. By challenging you, I'm telling you right now, I am challenging you this week to a booking blitz if your calendar is not full. So I just gave you permission to go to your customers and say, I've been challenged to do a booking blitz. Okay. And I've been challenged to fill my calendar. Here's how many things I need to fill it with. You know, would you be interested in this, or this? Now, those are one-on-one conversations. You can post it on your social media, but that is posting and praying, right? Even if you tag followers or all the things, that is passive, right? Because what percent of people see your posts in the current state? Who knows? Anyone?
I think it's 7.
It used to be 7. You want to know what it is now? It's like 2 to 3%, right? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's crazy. So, oh yeah, I'm loving this. All right. Noemi needs to beat $1,418.08. Don't forget that 8 cents in commission. Very cool. Very cool. Yes, under 5%. It's 2 to 3 is the latest figure that I heard. And that's not many people seeing your posts, right? So that is posting and praying, but one-on-one communication. Now that doesn't mean they won't ghost you, right? Make it about them, not about you. Ask them, you know, hey, do you want to stock up on this? I don't want you to pay full price for it. Could we, blah, 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 right? What do you know about the person? What do you know that they love, right? How might posting be of benefit to them? And if you have someone who I use this when I lived on Hilton Head some. If you have someone who doesn't really care about the host rewards, right? Or they don't really care, like, then I would challenge them. Is there a cause that you're passionate about? Because we can turn your party or your event into a fundraiser. And I'm willing to, just like I would with any other fundraiser, I'm willing to donate whatever percent you would donate to the cause on your behalf, right? Get creative. So now that's not going to help you towards your goal, just so you know, if you donate your commission, but it will get you new customers. So, okay. I'm going to stop the recording because we've gone a long time. And then